The Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Algie Pug. The Songs of a Sentimental Bloke. Introduction. To Mr. and Mrs. J.G. Roberts. La vie est vaine, un peu d'amour, un peu de haine, et puis, bonjour. La vie est brève, un peu d'espoir, un peu de rêve, et puis, bonsoir. Léon Montenaken. Foreword. My young friend Dennis has honoured me with a request to write a preface to his book. I think a man can best write a preface to his own book, provided he knows it is good, also if he knows it is bad. The Sentimental Bloke, while running through the Bulletin, brightened up many dark days for me. He is more perfect than any alleged larrikin or bottle-o character I have ever attempted to sketch, not even excepting my own beloved Benno. Take the first poem, for instance, where the Sentimental Bloke gets the hump. How many men, in how many different parts of the world, and of how many different languages, have had the same feeling, the longing for something better, to be something better? The exquisite humour of the Sentimental Bloke speaks for itself, but there's a danger that its brilliance may obscure the rest, especially for minds, of all stations, that, apart from sport and racing, are totally devoted to boiling "the cabbage stalks or something" in this social pickle foundery of ours. Doreen stands for all good women, whether down in the smothering alleys or up in the frozen heights; and so, having introduced the little woman (they all seem little women), I dips me lead and stand aside. Henry Lawson, Sydney, 1st of September, 1915. End of introduction. Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Algie Pug. Poem 1. A Spring Song. The world has got me snouted jist a treat. Cruel fortune's dirty left has smote me soul, and all them joys of life I 'eld so sweet is up the pole. Fer, as the poit says, me 'eart 'as got the pip wiv yearnin' fer I dunno wot. I'm crook. Me name is Mud. I've done me dash. Me flamin' spirit's got the flamin' 'ump. I'm longin' to let loose on somethin' rash. Ah, I'm a chump. I know it. But this blimed old springtime craze fair outs me on these dilly, silly days. The young green leaves is shootin' on the trees. The air is like a long, cool swig o' beer. The bonzer smell o' flowers is on the breeze. An' 'ere's me, 'ere, jist moochin' round like some poor barmy coot Of 'ope, an' joy, an' forchin destichoot. I've lorst me former joy in gettin' shick, or 'eadin' browns. I 'aven't got the 'eart to word a tom, an', square an' all, I'm sick o' that cheap tart 'oo chucks 'er carkis at a feller's 'ead an' mauls 'im. Ar! I wisht that I was dead. There's little breezes stirrin' in the leaves, an' sparrows chirping 'igh the 'ole day long, An' on the air a sad, sweet music breaves a bonzer song. A mournful sort o' choon that gits a bloke fair in the brisket 'ere, an' makes 'im choke. Wot is the matter wiv me? I dunno. I got a sort o' yearnin' 'ere inside, A dead crook sort o' thing that won't let go, or be denied. A feelin' like I want to do a break An' stoush creation fer some woman's sake. The little birds is chirpin' in the nest, The parks an' gardings is a bosker sight, Where smilin' tarts walks up an' down all dressed in clobber white, An', as their snowy forms goes steppin' by, It seems I'm seekin' somethin' on the sly. Somethin' or someone, I don't rightly know, but, seems to me, I'm kind o' lookin' fer a tart I knew 100 years ago, or, maybe more. What's this I've 'eard them call this thing? Gee whiz! Me ideel bit o' skirt, that's wot it is. Me ideel tart. An' blime me, look at me! Jist take a squiz at this, an' tell me can some square an' honest tom take this to be 'er own true man? Ah, Gawd! I'd be as true to 'er, I would, as straight an' stiddy as... wot's the good? Me, that 'as done me stretch fer stoushin' Johns, an' spends me leisure gittin' on the shick, an' 'arf me nights down 'ere in Little Lon. Wiv Ginger Mick, just 'eadin' 'em an' doin' in me gilt. Tough luck! I s'pose it's 'ow a man is built. It's 'ow Gawd builds a bloke; but don't it 'urt when 'e gits yearnin' fer this 'igher life, on these Spring mornin's, watchin' some sweet skirt, some fucher wife, go sailin' by, an' turnin' on 'is phiz the glassy eye, fer bein' wot 'e is? I've watched 'em walkin' in the gardings 'ere, cliners from orfices an' shops an' such, the sort o' skirts I dursn't come too near or dare to touch. An', when I see the kind 'er looks they cast, Oh, gorstruth! Wot's the use o' me? I ast. Wot was I slung 'ere for? An' wot's the good of yearnin' after any ideel tart? Ar, if a bloke was only understood! 'E's got a 'eart, 'e's got a soul inside 'im, poor or rich. But wot's the use, when 'Eaven's crooled 'is pitch? I tells meself some day I'll take a pull, An' look around fer some good stiddy job, An' cut the push fer good an' all. I'm full o' that crook mob. An', in some Spring the fucher 'olds in store, I'll cop me prize, an' long in vain no more. The little winds is stirrin' in the trees, Where little birds is chantin' lovers' lays. The music of the sorft an' balmy breeze... Ar, spare me days! If this 'ere dilly feelin' doesn't stop, I'll lose me block an' stoush some flamin' cop.
End of poem. Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Algie Pug. Poem 2. The Intro.
'Er name's Doreen. Well, spare me bloomin' days! You could 'a knocked me down wiv 'arf a brick. Yes, me, that kids meself I know their ways, An' 'as a name fer smoogin' in our click. I just lines up an' tips the saucy wink. But strike! The way she piled on dawg! You'd think a bloke was givin' back chat to the Queen. 'Er name's Doreen. I seen 'er in the market first of all, Inspectin' brooms at Steeny Isaac's stall. I backs me barrer in, the same old way, An' sez, "Wot O! It's been a bonzer day! 'Ow is it fer a walk?" Oh, 'oly wars! The sorter look she gimme! Just becors I tried to chat 'er, just like you'd make a start Wiv any tart. An' I kin take me oaf I was perlite, An' never said no word that wasn't right. An' never tried to maul 'er or to do a thing you might call crook. To tell you true, I didn't seem to 'ave the nerve. Wiv 'er, I felt as if I couldn't go that fur, An' start to sling off chiack like I used. Not introjuiced! Nex' time I sighted 'er in Little Bourke, Where she was in fer a job. I found 'er lurk was pasting labels in a pickle joint, A game that... any'ow, that ain't the point. Once more I tried to chat 'er in the street. But, blimey! Did she turn me down a treat! The way she tossed 'er 'ead an' swished 'er skirt! Ah, it was dirt! A squarer tom, I swear, I never seen. in all me nat'ral than this 'ere Doreen. It weren't no guyver, neither, fer I know that any bloke 'ad Buckley's 'oo tried fer to pick 'er up. Yes, she was square. She jist sailed by an' left me standin' there, like any mug. Thinks I, I'm out o' luck, an' done a duck. Well, I dunno. It's that way wiv a bloke. If she 'ad breasted up to me an' spoke, I thought 'er jist a comin' bit o' fluff, An' then forgot about 'er, like enough. It's jest like this. The tarts that 're 'ard to get makes you all 'ot to chase 'em, an' to let the cove called Cupid get an 'ammerlock, an' lose yer block. I know a bloke who knows a bloke who toils in that same pickle foundery. He boils the cabbage stalks or something. Anyway, I gives me pal the orfice fer to say he 'as a sister in the trade who's been out of a job an' wants to meet Doreen. An' then we can get an intro, if we've luck. 'E sez, "Rebuck." O' course we worked the oricle, you bet. But 'struth, I ain't recovered from it yet. 'Twas on a Saturdee, in Collins Street, an', quite by accident, o' course, we meet. Me pal, 'e trots 'er up an' does the toff. He allus was a bloke for showin' off. "This 'ere's Doreen," 'e sez. "This 'ere's the kid." I dips me lid. "This 'ere's Doreen," 'e sez. I sez, "Good day." An', blimey, I 'ad nothin' more to say. I couldn't speak a word, or meet 'er eye. Clean done me block. I never been so shy, not since I was a tiny little cub, An' run the rabbit to the corner pub, wot time the summer days was dry an' 'ot, fer me ole pot. Me, that 'as barracked tarts, an' talked an' laughed, An' chucked orf at them like a phonergraft. Gorstrooth! I seemed to lose me power o' speech. But 'er! Oh, strike me pink! She is a peach! The sweetest in the barrer. Spare me days! I can't describe that cliner's winning ways. The way she talks, 'er lips, 'er eyes, 'er 'air. Oh, gimme air! I dunno 'ow I done it in the end. I recollect I asked to be 'er friend, An' tried to play at 'andies in the park, A thing she wouldn't sight. Oh, it's a nark! I gotter swear when I think wot a mug I must 'a seemed to 'er. But still I 'ug that promise that she give me fer the beach. The bonzer peach! Now, as the poit says, the days drag by On ledding feet. I wisht they'd do a guy. I dunno 'ow I 'ad the nerve to speak, An' make that meet wiv 'er fer Sundee week. But strike! It's funny wot a bloke'll do When 'e's all out. She's gone, when I come to. I'm yappin' to me cobber uv me mash. I've done me dash. 'Er name's Doreen. A bee that thought I knoo the ways of tarts An' all that smoogin' game. An' so I ought, fer ain't I known a few? But some'ow, I dunno, it ain't the same. I can't tell wot it is, but, all I know, I've dropped me bundle, an' I'm glad it's so. For when I come to think of wot I've been, 'er name's Doreen.
End of poem. Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Algie Pug.
Poem 3. The Stoush of Day. Ah, these is 'appy days! An' 'ow they've flown! Flown like the smoke of some enchanted fag. Since dear Doreen, the sweetest tart I've known, Passed me the jolt that makes me sky the rag. An' ev'ry golding day floats o'er a chap Like a glad dream of some celestial scrap. Refreshed wiv sleep, day to the mornin' mill Comes jauntily to out the nigger night. Trained to the minute, confident in skill, He swaggers in the east chock full o' skite, then spars a bit and plugs night on the point. Out go the stars, and day 'as jumped the joint. The sun looks up, and wiv a cautious stare, Like some crook keekin' o'er a winder sill, To make certain everythink is square, 'E shoves 'is boko o'er an eastern 'ill, Then rises, wiv 'is dial all a grin, An' sez, "'Ooray! I knoo that we could win." Sure of 'is title then, the champeen Day Begins to put on dawg among 'is push, And, as 'e mooches on 'is gaudy way, Draws tribute from each tree and flower and bush. And, while 'e swigs the dew in sylvan bars, The sun shouts insults at the sneakin' stars. Then lo! the push o' day rise to applaud, An' all 'is creatures clamour at 'is feet, Until 'e thinks 'imself a little gawd, An' swaggers on an' kids 'imself a treat. The while the lurkin' barrackers of night Sneak in retreat an' plan another fight. On thro' the hours, triumphant, proud an' fit, The champeen marches on 'is upward way, Till, at the zenith, bli'me, 'e is IT! An' all the world bows to the Boshter Day. The jealous night speeds ethergrams thro' space, 'Otly demandin' terms, an' time, an' place. Awhile the champeen scorns to make reply. 'E's taken tickets on 'is own 'igh worth. Puffed up wiv pride, an' livin' mighty 'igh, 'E don't admit that night is on the earth. But as the hours creep on, 'e deigns to state 'E'll fight for all the earth an' 'arf the gate. Late afternoon. Day feels 'is flabby arms, An' tells 'imself 'e don't seem quite the thing. The 'omin' birds shriek clamorous alarms, An' night creeps stealthily to gain the ring. But see! The champion backs and fills because 'E doesn't feel the Boshter Bloke 'e was. Time does a bunk, as usual, nor stays A single instant, e'en at day's behest. Alas! the 'eavy weight's high living ways 'Has made 'im soft an' large around the vest. 'E sees 'e's fat inside, 'e starts to whine, 'E sez 'e wants to dror the colour line. Relentless nigger Night crawls thro' the ropes, Advancin' grimly on the quakin' Day, Whose noisy push, shorn of their 'igh noon 'opes, Wait, 'ushed an' anxious, fer the comin' fray. An' many lusty barrackers of noon Desert 'im one by one. Traitors so soon! 'E's out o' form. 'E 'asn't trained enough. They mark their sickly champeen on the stage, And narked, the sun, 'is backer in a 'uff, Sneaks out o' sight, red in the face wiv rage. While gloomy roosters, they who made the morn Ring wiv 'is praises, creep to bed forlorn. Or faint and groggy grows the beaten day, He staggers drunkenly about the ring, An' owl 'oots jeerin'ly across the way, An' bats come out to mock the fallen king. Now, wiv a jolt, night spreads 'im on the floor, An' all the west grows ruddy wiv 'is gore. A single vulgar star leers from the sky, An' in derision rudely mutters, "Yah!" The moon, night's concubine, comes glidin' by, An' laughs a artless silvery "Ha ha!" Scorned, beaten, day gives up the 'opeless fight, An' drops 'is bundle in the lap o' night. So goes each day, like some celestial mill, E'er since I met that shyin' little peach. 'Er bonds of voice, I 'ear its music still. An' when she guv that promise fer the beach, An', square an' all, no matter 'ow yeh start, The comin' end of most of us is tart.
End of poem. Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Algie Pug.
Poem 4. Doreen. I wish you meant it, Bill. Oh, 'ow me 'eart went out to 'er that evenin' on the beach. I knew she weren't no ordinary tart, my little peach. To 'ear 'er voice, its gentle sort o' tone, Like soft dream music of some Dago band, An' me all out, an' 'olding in me own 'Er little 'and. An' 'ow she blushed! Oh, strike! It was divine The way she raised 'er shinin' eyes to mine. 'Er eyes! Soft in the moon, such Boshter eyes! An' when they sight a bloke, oh, spare me days! It goes all loose inside, such glamour lies In her sweet gaze. It makes 'im all ashamed of wot 'e's been To look into the eyes of my Doreen. The wet sands glistened, an' the gleamin' moon Shone yeller on the sea, all streakin' down. A band was playin' some soft dreamy choon, An' up the town we 'eard the distant tramcars whir an' clash. An' there I told per 'ow I'd done me dash. I wished you'd meant it. 'Struth! An' did I, fair? A bloke 'ud be a dawg to kid a skirt Like 'er. An' me well knowin' she was square. It 'ud be dirt. 'E'd be no man to point wiv 'er an' kid. I meant it honest, an' I knoo she did. She knew. I've done me block in on 'er. Straight a cove 'as got to think some time in life An' get some decent tart ere it's too late To be 'is wife. But, Gawd! 'Oo'd 'a thought it could 'a been My luck to strike the likes of per Doreen! Oh, I can stand their chuckin' off, I can. It's 'ard, an' I delight to take 'em on The dawgs! But it gets that way wiv a man When 'e's fair gone. She'll sight no stoush, an' so I 'ave to take Their mag, an' do a duck fer 'er sweet sake. For 'er sweet sake I've gone an' chucked it clean, The pubs an' schools an' all that leery game. For when a bloke 'as come to know Doreen, It ain't the same. There's 'igher things, she sez, fer blokes to do, An' I'm 'arf believin' that it's true. Yes, higher things, that was the way she spoke. An' when she looked at me I sort of felt That bosker feelin' that comes o'er a bloke An' makes 'im melt. Makes 'im all 'ot to maul 'er an' to shove 'Is arms about 'er. Bli'me! But it's love! That's wot it is. An' when a man 'as grown like that 'e gets a sorter yearn inside To be a little 'ero on 'is own, An' see the pride glow in the eyes of 'er 'e calls 'is queen, An' 'ear 'er say 'e is a shine champeen. I wisht you'd meant it. I can 'ear 'er yet, my bit o' fluff. The moon was shinin' bright, turnin' the waves all yeller where it sets. A bonzer night. The sparklin' sea all sorter golden green, An' on the pier the band... Oh, well, Doreen!
End of poem. Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Algie Pug.
Poem 5. The Play. "What's in a name?" she says. An' then she sighs, An' clasps 'er little 'ands an' rolls 'er eyes. "A rose," she sez. "Be any other name would smell the same. Oh, wherefore art you Romeo, young sir? Chuck yer ole pot an' change yer moniker." Doreen an' me, we bin to see a show, The swell $2 touch. Bong tong, yeh know. A chair apiece wiv velvet on the seat. A slap up treat. The drama's writ be Shakespeare, years ago, About a barmy goat called Romeo. "Lady, be yonder moon I swear," sez 'e. An' then 'e climbs up on the balcony. An' there they smooge a treat wiv pretty words Like two love birds. I nudge Doreen. She whispers, "Ain't it grand?" 'Er eyes is shining, an' I squeeze 'er 'and. "Wot's in a name?" she sez. 'Struth, I dunno. Billo is just as good as Romeo. She may be Julier or Juliet, he loves 'er yet. If she's the tart 'e wants, then she's 'is queen. Names never count, but, I like Doreen. A sweeter, dearer sound I never 'eard. There's music 'angs around that little word. Doreen. But wot was this I starts to say about the play? I'm off me beat. But when a bloke's in love, 'is thoughts turn 'er away, like a 'oming dove. This Romeo is lurking wiv a crew, A dead tough crowd o' crooks, called Montague. 'Is cliner's push, wot's nicknamed Capulet, they 'as 'im set. Fair narks they are, jist like them back street cliques, excep' they fights wiv skewers 'stid o' bricks. Wot's in a name? Wot's in a string o' words? They scraps in ole Verona with their swords, An' never give a bloke a stray dog's chance. An' that's romance. But when they deals it out wiv bricks an' boots In Little Lon., they're low, degraded brutes. Wot's jist plain stoush wiv us, right 'ere to day, Is valour. If you're fur enough away, Sometime some writer bloke will do the trick Wiv Ginger Mick of Spadger's Lane. 'E'll be a Romeo, when 'e's bin dead 500 years or so. Fair Juliet, she gives 'er boy the tip. Says she, "Don't sling that crowd o' mine no lip, An' if you run agin a Capulet, Jist do a git." 'E swears 'e's done wiv lash. 'E'll chuck it clean. Same as I done when I first met Doreen. They smooge some more at that. Strike me blue! It gimme joes to sit an' watch them two. He'd break away an' start to say good bye, An' then she'd sigh, "Oh, Romeo," An' git a strangle holt, An' 'ang around 'im like she feared 'e'd bolt. Nex' day 'e words a gorspil cove about A secret wedding, an' they plan it out. 'E spouts a piece about 'ow 'e's bewitched. Then they get hitched. Now 'ere's the place where I fair get the pip. She is orf for keeps, an' yet 'e lets 'er slip. But 'e makes me sick. A fair gazob. 'E's jist the glarsey on the soulful sob. 'E'll sigh an' spruik an' 'owl a lovesick vow, The silly cow. But when 'e's got 'er spliced an' on the straight, 'E crools the pitch, an' tries to kid it's fate. Fate me foot! Instid of slopin' soon As 'e was wed, off on 'is 'oneymoon, 'Im an' 'is cobber called Mick Curio, They 'ave to go, an' mix it wiv that push of Capulets. They look for trouble, an' it's wot they gets. A tug named Tyball, cousin to the skirt, Sprags 'em an' makes a start to sling off dirt. Nex' minute there's a real ole ding dong go, 'Arf round or so. Mick Curio, 'e gets it in the neck. Rats," 'e sez, an' passes in 'is cheque. Quite natchril, Romeo gits wet as 'ell. "It's me or you," 'e 'owls, an' wiv a yell Plunks Tyball through the gizzard wiv 'is sword. 'Ow I encored! "Put in the boot," I sez. "Put in the boot." "'Ush!" sez Doreen. "Shame!" sez some silly coot. Then Romeo, 'e dunno wot to do. The cops gits busy, like they alwiz do, An' nose around till 'e gits blue funk, An' does a bunk. They want 'is tart to wed some other guy. "Oh, strike!" she sez. "I wish that I could die." Now this 'ere gorspil bloke's a fair shrewd 'ead. Sez 'e, "I'll dope yeh, so they'll think yeh dead." I tips 'e was a cunnin' sort, wot knoo a thing or two. She takes 'is knock out drops, up in 'er room. They think she's snuffed, an' plant 'er in 'er tomb. Then things gits mixed a treat, an' starts to whirl. 'Ere's Romeo comes back an' finds 'is girl Tucked in 'er little coffing, cold an' stiff. An' in a jiff 'e swallows Lysol, throws a fancy fit, 'Ead over turkey, an' 'is soul 'as flit. Then Juliet wakes up an' sees 'im there, Turns on the waterworks an' tears 'er 'air. "Dear love," she sez, "I cannot live alone." An' wiv a moan she grabs 'is pocket knife an' ends 'er cares. "Peanuts or lollies?" sez a boy upstairs.
End of poem. Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Algie Pug.
Poem number 6. The Straw 'At Coot. Ah, wimmin, what a blinded fool I've been! I asks meself, what else could I ixpect? I done me block complete on this Doreen, an' now me 'eart is broke, me life's a wreck. The dreams I dreamed, the dilly thoughts I thunk is up the pole, an' joy 'as done a bunk. Wimmin! Oh, strike! I ort to known the game. Their tricks is crook, their arts is all dead snide. The 'ole world over tarts is all the same, all soft an' smilin' wiv no 'eart inside. But she fair doped me wiv 'er winnin' ways, then crooled me pitch fer all me mortal days. They're all the same. A man 'as got to be strict master if 'e wants to snare 'em sure. 'E 'as to take a stand an' let 'em see that trifling is a thing 'e won't endure. 'E wants to show 'em that 'e 'olds command, so they will smooge an' feed out of 'is 'and. 'E needs to make 'em feel 'e is the boss, an' kids 'e's careless of the joys they give. 'E 'as to make 'em think they'll feel no loss to part wiv any tart 'e's trackin' wiv. That all their pretty ways is crook pretence is plain to any bloke wiv common sense. But when the birds is nestin' in the spring, an' when the soft green leaves is in the bud, 'E drops 'is bundle to some fluffy thing, 'E pays 'er 'omage, an' 'is name is Mud. She plays wiv 'im an' kids 'im on a treat, until she 'as 'im crawlin' at 'er feet. An' then, when 'e's fair orf 'is top wiv love, an' she 'as got 'im good an' 'ad 'er fun, she slings 'im over like a cast orf glove, to let the other tarts see wot she's done. Ole vanity, deceit, an' 'eartless kid, I ort to known. An', spare me days, I did. I knoo. But when I looked into 'er eyes, them shinin' eyes o' blue all soft wiv love, wiv mimic love, they seemed to 'ipnotise. I was content to place 'er 'igh above. I was content to make of 'er a queen. An' so she seemed them days. Oh, 'struth, Doreen! I knoo. But when I stroked 'er glossy 'air wiv riverent 'ands, 'er cheek pressed close to mine, me lonely life seemed robbed of all its care. I dreams me dreams, an' 'ope begins to shine. An' when she 'eld 'er lips fer me to kiss, ah, wot's the use? I'm done wiv all o' this. Wimmin! Oh, I ain't jealous, spare me days. Me? Jealous of a knock-kneed coot like that? 'Im? With 'is cute straw 'at an' pretty ways? I'd be a mug to squeal or whip the cat. I'm glad, I am. Glad 'cos I know I'm free. There ain't no call to talk o' jealousy. I tells meself I'm well out o' the game. For look, I might 'ave married 'er, an' then... Oh, strike! 'Er voice was music when my name was on 'er lips, on them glad evenin's when we used to meet. An' then to think she'd go, "No, I ain't jealous, but, I dunno." I took a derry on this straw 'at coot, first time I seen 'im dodgin' round Doreen. 'Im, wiv 'is giddy tie an' Yankee suit, forever yappin' like a talk machine About the office where 'e 'ad a grip. The way 'e smiled at 'er give me the pip. She sez I stoushed 'im when I promised fair to chuck it, even to a friendly spar. Stoushed 'im! I never roughed 'is pretty 'air. I only spanked 'im gentle, fer 'is mar. If I'd a jabbed 'im once, there would a been an inquest. An' I says so to Doreen. I might 'a' took an' cracked 'im in the street when she was wiv 'im there last Friday night. But don't I keep me temper when we meet? An' don't I raise me lid an' act perlite? I only jerks me elbow in 'is ribs, to give the gentle office to 'is nibs. Stoushed 'im! I owns I met 'im on the quiet, an' worded 'im about a small affair, an' when 'e won't put up 'is 'ands to fight, 'e sez, "For public brawls he didn't care." I lays 'im cross me knee, the mother's joy, an' smacks 'im 'earty like a naughty boy. An' now, Doreen, she sez, I've broke me vow, An' mags about this coot's pore wounded pride. An' then, o' course, we 'as a ding dong row, With 'ot an' stormy words on either side. She sez I done it out o' jealousy, An' so we parts for ever, 'er an' me. Me jealous? Jealous of that cross eyed cow? I said 'im 'cos I couldn't sight 'is face. 'Is yappin' fair got on me nerves, some'ow. I couldn't stand 'im 'angin' round 'er place, A coot like that. But it don't matter much, She's welkim to 'im if she fancies such. I swear I'll never track wiv 'er no more. I'll never look to 'er side o' the street, Unless she comes an' begs me pardon for Them things she said to me in angry 'eat. She can't ixpect fer me to smooge an' crawl. I ain't at any woman's beck an' call. Wimmin! I've took a tumble to their game. I've got the whole bang tribe o' cliners set. The 'ole world over they are all the same, Crook to the core, the bunch of them. An' yet we could 'a been that 'appy, 'er an' me. But wot's it matter? Ain't I glad I'm free? A bloke wiv common sense 'as got to own There's little 'appiness in married life. The smoogin' game is better left alone. For tarts is few that makes the ideel wife. An' them's the sort that loves without disguise, An' thinks the sun shines in their 'usbands' eyes. But when the birds is matin' in the Spring, An' when the tender leaves begin to bud, A feelin' comes, a dilly sorter thing, That seems to sorter swamp 'im like a flood. An' when the fever 'ere inside 'im burns, Then freedom ain't the thing fer wot 'e yearns. But I 'ave chucked it all. An' yet, I own, I dreams me dreams when soft spring breezes stirs. An' often when I'm moonin' 'ere alone, A lispin' maid, wiv 'air an' eyes like 'ers, 'Oo calls me dad, she climbs upon me knee, An' yaps 'er pretty baby talk to me. I sorter see a little 'ouse, it seems, Wiv someone waitin' fer me at the gate. Ar, where's the sense in dreamin' balmy dreams? I've dreamed before, an' nearly woke too late. Sich 'appiness could never last fer long. We're strangers. 'Less she owns that she was wrong. To call 'er back I'll never lift a 'and. She'll never 'ear from me by word or sign. Per'aps, some day, she'll come to understand The mess she's made of this 'ere life of mine. Oh, I ain't much to look at, I admit. But 'im, the knock-kneed swivel-eyed misfit.
End of poem. Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Algie Pug.
Poem 7. The Siren. She sung a song, and I sat silent there, With both 'ands grippin' 'ard on me chair. Me 'eart, that yesterdee I thought was broke, Wiv 'umpin' sich a 'eavy load o' care, Come swellin' in me throat like I would choke. I felt 'ot blushes climbin' to me 'air. 'Twas like that feelin' when the spring wind breaves Sad music in the softly rustlin' leaves. An' when a bloke sits down an' starts to chew crook thoughts, Wivout quite knowin' why 'e grieves Fer things 'e's done 'e didn't ort to do, Fair winded wiv the 'eavy sighs 'e 'eaves. She sung a song, an' all at once I seen The kind o' cruel an' 'eartless brute I been. In ev'ry word I read it like a book. The slanter game I played wiv my Doreen. I 'eard it in 'er song, an' in 'er look I seen wot made me feel fair rotten mean. Poor 'urt Doreen, my tender bit o' fluff! Ar, men don't understand, they're fur too rough. Their ways is fur too coarse wiv lovin' tarts. They never gives 'em sympathy enough. They treats 'em 'arsh, they tramples on their 'earts, Because their own cruel 'earts is leather tough. She sung a song, an' all them bitter things That chewin' over lovers' quarrils brings gave place to thoughts of sorrow and remorse, like when some dilly punter goes and slings 'is last lone deener on some stiffened 'orse, and then learns them vain regrets wot 'urts and stings. 'Twas at a beano where I lobs along to drown them memories o' fancied wrong. I swears I never knew she'd be there, but when I met 'er eye, oh, 'struth, 'twas strong. 'Twas bitter strong, that jolt o' dull despair, 'Er look o' scorn. An' then she sung a song. The choon was one o' them sad, mournful things that ketch you in the beller's ear, an' brings tears to yer eyes. The words was of a tart who's trackin' wiv a silly coot 'oo slings 'er love aside an' breaks 'er tender 'eart. But 'twasn't that, it was the way she sings. To 'ear 'er voice, a bloke 'ud be a log 'oo kept 'is block. Me mind was in a fog of sorrer for to think how I was wrong. Ah, I been a fair ungrateful 'og. The feelin' that she put into that song 'ud melt the 'eart strings of a chiner dog. I listens wiv me 'eart up in me throat. I drunk in every word an' every note. Tears trembles in 'er voice when she tells 'ow that tart's snuffed out because 'e never wrote. An' then I seen 'ow I was like that cow. Wiv sudden shame me guilty soul was smote. Doreen, she never looked my way, but stood 'Arf turned away an' beefed it out real good, until she sang that last bit about the grave. Too late 'e learned 'e 'ad misunderstood. An' then, Gorstruth, that pleadin' look she gave fair in me face 'ud melt a 'eart of wood. I dunno 'ow I seen that evenin' through. They must 'a' thought I was 'arf shick, I knew. But I 'ad 'urt Doreen wivout no call. I seen me dooty, wot I 'ad to do. Oh, strike! I could 'a' blubbed before 'em all, but I sat tight an' never cracked a boo. An' when at last the tarts they makes a rise, a lop-eared coot wiv 'air down to 'is eyes, 'e looks on to Doreen an' starts to roam for 'ome an' mother. I lines up an' cries, "'Ands off! I'm seein' this 'ere cliner 'ome." An' there we left 'im, gapin' wiv surprise. She never spoke, she never said no word, but walked beside me like she never 'eard. I swallers 'ard, an' starts to coax an' plead. I says I'm dead ashamed o' wot's occurred. She don't reply, she never takes no 'eed, jist stares before 'er like a startled bird. I tells 'er never can no other tart be 'arf wot she is if we 'ave to part. I tells 'er that me life will be a wreck. It ain't no go. But when I makes a start to walk away, 'er arms is round me neck. "Ah, kid," she sobs, "you nearly broke me 'eart." I dunno wot I done or wot I said, but 'struth, I'll not forgit it till I'm dead. That night when 'ope back in me brisket lobs, 'ow my Doreen she lays 'er little 'ead down on my shoulder 'ere an' sobs an' sobs, an' all the lights goes sorter blurred an' red. Say, square an' all, it don't seem right some'ow to say such things, but wot I'm feelin' now 'as come at times, I s'pose, to other men, when you've 'ad a real ole ding-dong row. Say, ain't it bonzer makin' up again? Straight wire, it's almost worth—ah, I'm a cow. To think I'd ever seek to 'arm a 'air of 'er dear 'ead again! My oath, I'll swear no more I'll roust on 'er in angry 'eat. But still she never seemed to me so fair, she never was so tender or so sweet, as when she smooged beneath the lamplight there. She's never been so lovin' wiv 'er gaze, so gentle wiv 'er pretty wimmin's ways. I tells 'er she's me queen, me angel too. "Ah, no, I ain't no angel, kid," she sez. "I'm jist a wimmin, an' I loves you true, an' so I'll love you all me mortal days." She sung a song. 'Ere in me balmy style I sets all tarts, for in me hour of trial me soul was withered be a woman's frown, an' broodin' care came roosting on me dial. She sung a song. Me 'eart, wiv woe cast down, was raised to 'eaven be a woman's smile.
End of poem. Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Algie Pug.
Poem number 8. Ma. Poor dear Pa, she says, he kept the store. And then she weeps and stares hard at the floor. 'Twas through his death, she says, we was reduced to this, she says. And then she weeps some more. Pa, she says, me poor late 'usband kept an hay and corn store. He had no faults except 'im falling heavy orf a load of chaff which killed 'im on the... 'Struth, but 'ow she wept! She blows 'er nose and sniffs. "He would 'a' made," she says, "a lot o' money in the trade, but 'im took orf so sudden like. We found 'e 'adn't kept 'is life insurance paid. To think," she says, "a child o' mine should be reduced to workin' in a factory. If 'er poor Pa 'e 'adn't died," she sobs. I says, "It was a bit o' luck for me." Then I gits red as 'ell. "That is, I mean," I says, "I might 'a' never met Doreen if 'e 'ad not..." An' 'ere I lose me block. "I 'ope," I says, "'e snuffed it quick an' clean." An' that was 'ow I made me first deboo. I dodged it cunnin' for a month or two. Doreen, she says, "You'll 'ave to meet my Mar, some day," she says. An' so I seen it thro'. I pictured some stern female in a cap Wot puts the fear o' Gawd into a chap. An' 'ere she was, a weepin' in 'er tea, An' drippin' moisture like a leaky tap. Two dilly sorter dawgs made out o' delf Stares 'ard at me from orf the mantelshelf. I seemed to sympathise wiv them there pups. I felt so stiff an' brittle like meself. Clobber? Me trousseau, 'ead to foot, was noo. Got up regardless fer this interview. Stiff shirt,
A Yankee suit split up the back,
a tie wiv yeller spots an' stripes o' blue. Me cuffs kep' playin' wiv me nervis fears. Me patent leathers nearly brought the tears. An' there I sits wiv, "Yes, mum, thanks, indeed."
me stand-up collar sorin' orf me ears.
"Life's 'ard," she says, an' then she brightens up. "Still, we 'ave allus 'ad our bite an' sup. Doreen's been sich a help, she 'as indeed. Some more tea, Willy? 'Ave another cup." Willy? Oh, 'ell! 'Ere was a flamin' pill. A moniker that allus makes me ill. "If that's the same to you, mum," I replies, "I answer quicker to the name of Bill." Up goes 'er 'ands an' eyes. "That vulgar name? No, Willy, it isn't all the same. My future son must be respectable." "Orright," I says, "I s'pose it's in the game." "Me future son," she says, "right on from this Must not take anythink I say amiss. I know me jooty be me son in lor. So, Willy, come an' give yer Mar a kiss." I done it, though I dunno 'ow I did. "Dear boy," she says, "to do as you are bid. Be kind to 'er," she sobs, "my little girl." An' then I kissed Doreen. Says she, "Ah, kid." Doreen! An' 'ow 'er pretty eyes did shine! No sight on earth or 'eaving 'arf so fine. An' as they looked at me she seemed to say, "I'm proud of 'im, I am, an' 'e is mine." There was a sort o' glimmer in 'er eye, An 'appy, nervous look, 'arf proud, 'arf shy. I seen 'er earn me mind be'ind the cups in our own little Kipsy, by and by. An' then when Mar in law an' me began To talk of 'ouse'old things an' scheme an' plan, A sudden thought fair jolts me where I live. These is my wimmin folk, an' I'm a man. It's wot they call responsibility. All of a 'eap that feelin' come to me, An' somewhere in me 'ead I seemed to feel A sneakin' sort o' wish that I was free. 'Ere's me 'oo never took no 'eed o' life, Investin' in a mar in law an' wife, Someone to battle fer beside meself, Something to love an' shield from care an' strife. It makes you solim when you come to think Wot love an' marridge means. Ar, strike me pink! It ain't all sighs an' kisses, it's yer life. An' 'ere's me tremblin' on the bloomin' brink. "'Er poor dead Par," she sez, an' gulps a sob. An' then I tells 'er 'ow I got a job A stormin' down at Jones' printin' joint, A decent sort o' cop, at 50 bob. Then things get 'omelike, an' we talks till late, An' tries to tease Doreen to fix the date. An' she gits sudden soft an' tender like, An' cries a bit when we parts at the gate. An' as I'm moochin' 'omeward from the car, A sudden notion stops me wiv a jar. Wot if Doreen, I thinks, should grow to be A fat ole weepin' willer like 'er mar? Ar, 'struth! It won't bear thinkin' of. It's crook! An' I'm a mean, unfeelin' dawg to look At things like that. Doreen's Doreen to me, The sweetest peach on which a man was shook. 'Er poor dear Par! I s'pose 'e 'ad 'is day, An' kissed an' smooged an' loved 'er in 'is way, An' went an' took 'is chances like a man. But, Gawd, this splicin' racket ain't all play. Love is a gamble, an' there ain't no certs. Some day, I s'pose, I'll get wise to the skirts, An' learn to take the bitter wiv the sweet. But, strike me purple! Willy! That's wot 'urts.
End of poem. Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Algie Pug. Poem 9.
Pilot Cove. "Young friend," 'e sez. Young friend! Well, spare me days! You'd think I was 'is own white 'eaded boy, The queer old finger, wiv 'is gentle ways. "Young friend," 'e sez, "I wisht yeh bofe great joy." The langwidge that them parson blokes employ Fair tickles me, the way 'e bleats an' brays. "Young friend," 'e sez. "Young friend," 'e sez. Yes, my Doreen an' me, we're gettin' hitched, All straight an' on the square. For when I talks about the registry, Oh, 'oly wars! You should 'a seen 'er stare. "The registry?" she sez. "I wouldn't dare! I know a clergyman we'll go and see." "Young friend," 'e sez. "Young friend," 'e sez. An' then 'e chats me straight, An' spouts of death an' 'ell an' mortal sins. "You reckernize this step you contemplate Is grave," 'e sez. An' I jist stands an' grins. For when I chips, Doreen, she kicks me shins. "Yes, very 'oly is the married state, Young friend," 'e sez. "Young friend," 'e sez. An' then 'e mags a lot o' jooty an' the spiritchuil life, To which I didn't tumble worth a jot. "I'm sure," 'e sez, "as you will have a wife 'Oo'll 'ave a noble influence on your life." "'Oo is 'er guarjin?" I sez. "'Er ole pot." "Young friend," 'e sez. "Young friend," 'e sez. "Oh, fix your thoughts on 'igh! All marridges is registered up there, An' you must cleave unto 'er till yeh die, An' cherish 'er wiv love an' tender care, E'en in the days when she's no longer fair. she's still your wife," 'e says. "Rebuck," says I. "Young friend," 'e says. "Young friend," 'e says. I says, "Now listen 'ere. This ain't one o' them impetuous leaps. There ain't no tart 100 parts so dear as 'er. She 'as me 'eart an' soul for keeps." An' then Doreen, she turns away an' weeps. But 'e jist smiles. "You deep in love, 'tis clear, young friend," 'e says. "Young friend," 'e says, an' tears was in 'is eyes. "Strive 'ard. For many, many years I've lived, an' I kin but recall wiv tears an' sighs The lives of some I've seen in marriage gived." "My Gawd," I says, "I'll strive as no bloke strived. For don't I know I've copped a bonzer prize?" "Young friend," 'e says. "Young friend," 'e says. An' in 'is gentle way 'e pats the shoulder of my dear Doreen. "I've solemnized grand weddin's in me day, But 'ere's the sweetest little maid I've seen. She's fit for any man to be 'is queen. An' you're more fortunate than you can say, Young friend," 'e says. "Young friend," 'e says. A queer ole pilot bloke wiv silver 'air. The gentle way 'e dealt wiv 'er, the soft an' kindly way 'e spoke To my Doreen, 'ud make a starcher melt. I tell yeh, square an' all, I sort o' felt A kiddish kind o' feelin' like I'd choke. "Young friend," 'e says. "Young friend," 'e says. "You two on Choosdee week is to be joined In very 'oly bonds. To break them vows I 'opes you'll never seek, For I could curse them 'usbands 'oo absconds." "I'll love 'er till I snuff it," I responds. "An' that's the way I likes to 'ear yeh speak, Young friend," 'e says. "Young friend," 'e says. An' then me an' 'e grips. "I wisht yeh luck, you an' yer lady fair, Sweet maid." An' softly wiv 'is finger tips 'E takes an' strokes me cliner's shinin' 'air. An' when I seen 'er standin' blushin' there, I turns an' kisses 'er, fair on the lips. "Young friend," 'e says.
End of poem. Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Algie Pug.
Poem number 10. Hitched. "And wilt yeh take this woman fer to be your weddid wife?" Ah, strike me! Will I wot? Take 'er? Doreen? 'E stands there arstin' me, as if 'e thought per'aps I'd rather not. Take 'er? 'E seemed to think 'er kind was got Like cigarette cards, fer the arstin'. Still, I does me stunt in this there itchin' rot, An' speaks me piece. "Right o," I says, "I will." "I will," I says. An' tho' a joyful shout come from me bustin' 'eart I know it did me voice got sorter mangled comin' out, An' makes me whisper like a frightened kid. "I will," I squeaks. An' I'd 'a give a quid To 'ad it on the quite, wivout this fuss, An' all the starin' crowd that Mar 'ad bid To see this solim itchin' up of us. "For richer and for poorer," so 'e bleats, "In sickness and in health." An' there I stands, an' dunno 'arf the chatter I repeats, Nor wot the 'ell to do wiv my two 'ands. But 'e don't 'urry puttin' on our bands, This white 'aired pilot bloke, but gives it lip, Dressed in 'is little shirt wiv frills an' bands. "In sickness and in..." Ar, I got the pip! An' once I missed me turn, an' Ginger Mick, 'Oo's my best man, 'e ups an' beefs it out. "I will," he 'owls, an' fetches me a kick. "Your turn to chin," he tips wiv a shout. An' there I'm standin' like a gawky lout. Ah, spare me, but I seem to be all 'ands, An' wonders wot 'e's goin' crook about, Wiv 'arf a mind to crack 'im where 'e stands. Ah, lumme! But old Ginger was a trick. Got up regardless for the solemn rite. He 'awks the bunnies when he toils, does Mick. An' twice I saw 'im feelin' for a light To start a fag, an' trembles lest 'e might, Through force o' 'abit, like. 'E's nervous too, that's plain, fer all 'is air o' bluff an' skite, An' jist as keen as me to see it thro'. But 'struth, the wimmin! 'Ow they love this frill! For Auntie Liz, an' Mar, o' course, was there, An' Mar's 2 uncles' wives, an' Cousin Lil, An' 'arf a dozen more to grin an' stare. I couldn't make me 'ands fit anywhere. I felt like I was up afore the beak. But my Doreen, she never turns a 'air, Nor misses once when it's 'er turn to speak. Ah, strike! No more swell marridges for me. It seems a blinded year afore 'e's done. We could 'a' fixed it in the registry Twice over 'fore this cove 'ad 'arf begun. I s'pose the wimmin git some sort of fun Wiv all this guyver and 'is nibs shirt. But, seems to me, it takes the bloomin' bun, This stylish splicin' of a bloke and skirt. To be your weddid wife! Ah, take a pull! Wot in the 'ell's 'e thinks I'm come there for? An' so 'e drawls and drones until I'm full, An' wants to do a duck clean out the door. An' yet, fer all 'is 'ighfalutin jaw, Old Snowy was a real good meanin' bloke.
If 'twasn't fer the 'oly look 'e wore,
You'd think he piled it on jist fer a joke. An', when at last 'e shuts 'is little book, I 'eaves a sigh that nearly bust me vest. But 'eavens! Now 'ear muvver's goin' crook, An' sobbin' awful on me manly chest. I wish she'd give them waterworks a rest. "My little girl," she 'owls, "oh, treat her well! She's young, too young to leave 'er muvver's nest." "All right, old chook," I nearly says. Oh, 'ell! An' then we 'as a beano up at Mar's, A slap up feed, wiv wine an' 2 big geese. Doreen sits next to me, 'er eyes like stars. Ah, 'ow I wish their blessed yap would cease! The parson bloke 'e speaks a little piece That makes me blush an' 'ang me silly 'ead. 'E says 'e 'opes our lovin' will increase. I likes that pilot fer the things 'e said. 'E says Doreen an' me is in a boat, An' sailin' on the matrimonial sea.
'e sez as 'ow 'e 'opes we'll allus float in peace an' joy,
From storm an' danger free. Then muvver gips to weepin' in 'er tea, An' Auntie Liz sobs like a winded colt, An' Cousin Lil comes round an' kisses me, Until I feel I'll 'ave to do a bolt. Then Ginger gits end up an' makes a speech. He'd 'ad a couple, but 'e wasn't shick. "Me cobber 'ere," 'e says, "'as copped a peach. Of all the barrer load she is the pick.
I 'opes 'e won't ferget 'is pals too quick."
As was 'is friends in olden days, "Becos, I'm trustin' later on," says Ginger Mick, "to celebrate the christenin'." 'Oly wars! At last, Doreen an' me, we gits away, An' leaves 'em doin' nothin' to the scran. We're honeymoonin' down beside the bay. I gives 'arf a dollar to the man wot drives the cab, An' like 2 kids we ran to ketch the train. Ah, strike! I could 'a flown. We gets the carriage right agen the van. She whistles, jolts, an' starts. An' we're alone. Doreen an' me. My precious bit o' fluff. Me own true weddid wife. An' we're alone. She seems so frail, an' me so big an' rough. I dunno wot this feelin' that's grown Inside me 'ere that makes me feel I own A thing so tender like I fear to squeeze Too 'ard fer fear she'll break. Then, wiv a groan, I starts to 'ear a coot call, "Tickets, please!" It could 'a' outed me right on the spot. I was so rattled when that porter spoke. For 'struth, them tickets I 'ad fair forgot. But 'e jist laughs, an' takes it fer a joke. "We must excuse," 'e sez, "new married folk." An' I pays up an' grins, an' blushes red. It shows 'ow married life improves a bloke. If I'd been singled, I'd 'a' punched 'is 'ead.
End of poem. Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Algie Pug.
Poem 11. Beef Tea. She never magged, she never said no word, but sat and looked at me and never stirred. I could 'a' bluffed it out if she 'ad been fair narked, and let me 'ave it wiv 'er tongue, but silence told me 'ow 'er 'eart was wrung. Poor 'urt Doreen! Gorstruth, I'd sooner fight wiv 50 men than git one look like that from 'er agen. She never moved, she never spoke no word, that 'urt look in 'er eyes like some scared bird. "Here is the man I loved," it seemed to say. "He's mine, this crawling thing, an' I'm 'is wife, tied up for good, an' all me joy in life is chucked away." If she 'ad bashed me, I'd 'a' felt no 'urt, but 'ere she treats me like I was dirt. 'Ow is a man to guard agen that look? For other wimmin, when their blokes go crook, an' lobs 'ome wiv the wages of a jag, they smashes things, an' carries on a treat, an' 'owls an' scolds an' wakes the bloomin' street wiv noisy mag. But 'er, she never speaks, she never stirs. I drops me bundle, an' the game is 'ers. Jist 2 months wed, 8 weeks of married bliss wiv my Doreen, an' now it's come to this. Wot was I thinkin' of? Gard! I ain't fit to kiss the place 'er little feet 'as been. 'Er that I called me wife, me own Doreen. Fond dreams 'as flit. Love's done a bunk, an' joy is up the pole, an' shame an' sorrer's roosting in me soul. 'Twas all because of Ginger Mick, the cow. I wished I 'ad 'im 'ere to deal wiv now. I'd pass 'im one, I would. 'E ain't no man. I meets 'im Choosday evenin' up the town. "Wot O," 'e chips me, "kin yeh keep one down?" I sez I can. We 'as a couple. Then meets 3 or 4 flash coves I useter to know, an' 'as some more. "'Ow are yeh on a little gamble, kid?" Sez Ginger Mick. "Last night I'm on 4 quid. Come round an' try yer luck at Steeny's school." "No," sez me conscience. Then I thinks, why not? An' buy 'er presents if I wins a pot? A blazin' fool I was. For 'arf a mo' I 'as a fight, then conscience skies the wipe. Sez I, "Orright." 10 minutes later I am back once more, Kip in me 'and on Steeny Isaac's floor. Me luck was in, an' I was 'eadin' good. Yes, back agen amongst the same old crew. An' all the time, down in me 'eart, I knew I never should.
Next thing I knows, it's after 2 o'clock.
2 in the mornin'! An' I've done me block. Wot odds, I thinks. I'm in fer it orright. An' so I stops an' gambles all the night, an' bribes me conscience wiv the gilt I wins. But when I comes out in the cold 'ard dawn, I know I've crooled me pitch. Me soul's in pawn. Me flamin' sins, they 'its me in a 'eap right where I live.
For I have broke the solemn vow I give.
She never magged, she never said no word. An' when I speaks it seems she never 'eard. I could 'a' sung a nim, I feels so gay. If she 'ad only roused I might 'a' smiled. She jist seems 'urt an' crushed. Not even riled. I turns away, an' yanks me carkis out into the yard, like some whipped pup, an' kicks meself real 'ard. An' then I sneaks to bed, an' feels dead crook. For golden quids I couldn't face that look, that trouble in the eyes of my Doreen. Ah, strike! Wot made me go an' do this thing? I feel jist like a chewed up bit o' string, an' rotten mean. For 'arf an hour I lies there feelin' cheap, an' then, I s'pose, I must 'a fell asleep. "'Here, kid, drink this." I wakes, an' lifts me 'ead, an' sees 'er standin' there beside the bed, a basin in 'er 'ands, an' in 'er eyes that wiv unshed tears is shinin' wet. The sorter look I never shall forget until I dies. "'Here, kid, drink this," she says, an' smiles at me. I looks, an' spare me days, it was beef tea! Beef tea! She treats me like an hinvalid, me that 'as caused 'er lovin' 'eart to bleed. It 'urts me worse than maggin' fer a week. 'Er 'oo 'ad a right to turn dead sour on me forgives like that, an' feeds me wiv beef tea. I tries to speak, an' then, I ain't ashamed of wot I did, I 'ides me face an' blubbers like a kid.
End of poem. Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Algie Pug.
Poem 12. Uncle Jim. "I got no time for wasters, lad," says 'e. "Give me a man wiv grit," says Uncle Jim. 'E bores 'is cute ole eyes right into me, while I stares 'ard an' gives it back to 'im. Then all at once 'e grips me 'and in 'is. "Some'ow," 'e sez, "I likes yer ugly phiz. You got a look," 'e sez, "like you could stay, although you mauls King's English when you yaps, an' 'angs flash frills on everythink you say. I ain't no grammarist meself, per'aps, but langwidge is a 'elp, I own," sez Unk, "when things is goin' crook." An' 'ere 'e wunk. "You'll find it tough," 'e sez, "to knuckle down. Good farmin' is a gift, like spoutin' slang. You'll 'ave to cut the luxuries o' town, an' chuck the manners of this back street gang. For country life ain't cigarettes an' beer." "I'm game," I sez. Sez Uncle, "Put it 'ere." Like that I took the plunge an' slung the game. I've parted wiv them joys I 'eld most dear. I've sent the leery bloke that bore me name clean to the pack wivout one pearly tear. An' from the ashes of a ne'er do well, a bloomin' farmer, blossomin' like 'ell. Farmer! That's me! Wiv this 'ere strong right 'and I've gripped the plough an' blistered jist a treat. Doreen an' me 'as gone upon the land. Yours truly fer the burden an' the 'eat. Yours truly fer upending chunks o' soil, the 'ealthy, 'ardy, 'appy son o' toil. I owns I've 'ankered fer me former joys. I've 'ad me hours of broodin' on me woes. I've missed the company an' I've missed the noise, the football matches an' the picter shows. I've missed but, say, it makes me feel fair mean To whip the cat, an' then see my Doreen. To see the colour comin' in 'er cheeks, To see 'er eyes grow brighter day be day, The new glad way she looks an' laughs an' speaks, Is worf 10 times the things I've chucked away. An' there's a secret, whispered in the dark, That's made me 'eart sing like a flamin' lark. Jist tell me 'ow it came about. The things that I've been thro' 'ud fill a book. Right from me birth Fate played to knock me out. The 'and that I 'ad dealt to me was crook. Then comes Doreen, an' patches up me past. Now fortune's come to bunk wiv me at last. First orf, one night poor Mar gits sudden fits, An' floats wivout the time to wave good byes. Doreen is all broke up the day she flits. It tears me 'eart in two the way she cries. To see 'er grief, it almost made me glad I never knowed the Mar I must 'ave 'ad. We done poor muvver proud when she went out, A slap up send orf trimmed wiv tears an' crape. An' then fer weeks Doreen, she mopes about, An' life takes on a gloomy sorter shape. I watch 'er face get pale, 'er eyes grow dim, Till, like some 'airy angel, comes ole Jim. A cherub togged in sunburn an' a beard An' duds that shouted "'Ayseed" fer a mile. Care took the count the minute 'e appeared, An' sorter shrivelled up before 'is smile. He got the hammerlock on my goodwill the minute that he says, "So this is Bill." It's got me beat. Doreen's late pa, some way, was second cousin to his brother's wife. Something like that. In less than half a day, it seemed he'd been my uncle all me life. He takes me hand. "I don't know how it is," he says, "but, lad, I likes that ugly phiz." And when he stayed with us a little while, the house began to look like home once more. Doreen, she brightens up beneath his smile and hugs him till I kids I'm getting sore. Then, one night, he opens up his scheme and passes me what looks like some fond dream. He has a little fruit farm, doin' well. He's saved a tidy bit to see him through. He's gettin' old for toil and wants a spell, and here's a home just waitin' for us two. It's hers and yours for keeps when I am gone, says Uncle Jim. "Lad, will you take it on?" So that's the strength of it. And here's me now, a flamin' berry farmer, full of toil, playin' jiu-jitsu with a horse and plough, and coaxing fancy tucker from the soil, and longin', while I wrestles with the rake, for days when me poor back forgits to ache. Me days and nights is full of schemes and plans to figure profits and cut out the loss, and when the pickin's on I 'ave me 'ands to take me orders while I act the boss. It's sort of sweet to 'ave the right to rouse, and my Doreen's the lady of the 'ouse. To see her bustling round about the place, full of the simple joy of doin' things, that thoughtful 'appy look upon her face, that 'ope and peace and pride a labour brings, is worth the crowd of joys I knew one time, and makes regretting 'em seem like a crime. And every while old Uncle Jim comes up to stay a bit and pass a tip. It gives us 'eart jist for to look at 'im and feel the friendship in 'is warm 'and grip. 'Im with the sunburn on 'is old kind dial, 'im with the sunbeams in 'is sweet old smile. "I got no time for wasters, lad," says 'e, "but that there ugly mug o' yourn I trust. And so I reckon that it's up to me to make an bloomin' do of it or bust. I got to take the backache wiv the rest, and plug along and do me little best. Luck ain't no steady visitor, I know, but now and then it calls. For look at me, you wouldn't take me 'bout a year ago, free gratis with a shillin' pound of tea. Then in a blessed heap old fortune lands a missus and a farm fair in me 'and.
End of poem. Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Algie Pug.
Poem 13. The Kid. My son. Them words, just like a blessed song, is singin' in me 'eart the 'ole day long. Over and over, while I'm scared I'll wake out of a dream, to find it all a fake. My son. Two little words that, yesterday, was jist two simple, senseless words to me, and now, no man, not since the world begun, has made any better prayer than that. My son. My son and bloomin' heir. Ours, 'ers and mine. The finest kid in... the sun don't shine. There ain't no joy for me beneath the blue unless I'm gazin' lovin' at them two. A little while ago it was jist me, a lonely longin' streak of misery. And then 'twas 'er and me, Doreen, my wife. And now it's 'im and us, and sich is life. But 'struth, 'e is king pin, the 'ead serang. I mustn't tramp about, or talk no slang. I mustn't pinch 'is nose, or make a face. I mustn't... Strike! 'E seems to own the place. Cunnin', you'd think, to look into 'is eyes, 'e knew the game clean through. 'E seems that wise. Wiv 'er and nurse 'e is the leadin' man, and poor old dad's amongst the also ran. Goo, goo," 'e says, an' curls 'is cunnin' toes. You'd be surprised the caps o' things 'e knows. I swear 'e tumbles I'm 'is father too, the way 'e squints at me an' says, "Goo, goo." Why, 'smornin' 'ere 'is lordship gits a grip Fair on me finger, give it quite a nip. An' when I tugs, 'e won't let go 'is 'old. 'Angs on like that. An' 'im not 3 weeks old. "Goo, goo," 'e says.
I'll swear you never did in all your natural see sich a kid.
The cunnin' ways 'e's got, the knowin' stare, there ain't a youngster like 'im anywhere. An', when 'e gits a little pain inside, 'Is dead straight griffin ain't to be denied. I'm sent to talk sweet nuffin's to the fowls, my nurse turns 'and-springs every time 'e 'owls. But say,
I tell you straight,
I've been through 'ell. The things I thought I wouldn't dare to tell, lest, in the tellin', I might feel again One little bit of all that fear an' pain. It come so sudden that I lorst me block. First it was, 'ell for leather to the doc, 'Oo took it all so calm 'e made me curse. An' then I sprints like mad to get the nurse. By gum! That woman! But she beat me flat. A man's jist putty in a game like that. She owned me 'appy 'ome almost before She fairly got 'er nose inside me door. Sweatin' I was, but cold wiv fear inside. An' then, to think a man could be denied 'Is wife an' 'ome an' told to fade away By jist one fat old nurse 'oo's in 'is pay. I was too weak wiv funk to start an' rouse. 'Struth, ain't a man the boss in 'is own 'ouse? "You go and chase yourself," she tips me straight. "There's nothin' now for you to do but wait." Wait? Gawd! I never knew what waitin' meant in all me life till that day I was sent to loaf around, while there inside... Oh, strike! I couldn't tell you what that hour was like. 3 times I comes to listen at the door. 3 times I drags meself away once more, 'Arf dead wiv fear, 'arf dead wiv tremblin' joy. An' then she beckons me an' says, "A boy! A boy!" she says. "An' bofe is doin' well." I drops into a chair an' jist says, "'Ell." It was a prayer. I feels bofe crook an' glad, An' that's the strength of bein' made a dad. I thinks of church, when in that room I goes, 'Oldin' me breaf an' walkin' on me toes. For 'arf a mo I feared me nerve 'ud fail, To see 'er lyin' there so still an' pale.
She looked so frail, at first I dursn't stir.
An' then I leans across an' kisses 'er, An' all the room gets sort of blurred an' dim. She smiles an' moves 'er 'ead. "Dear lad, kiss 'im." Near smothered in a ton o' snowy clothes, First thing I sees, a bunch o' stubby toes, Bald 'ead, termater face, an' 2 big eyes. "Look, kid," she smiles at me, "ain't 'e a size?" 'E didn't seem no sort o' size to me. But yet, I speak no lie when I agree. "'E is," I says, an' smiles back at Doreen, The biggest nipper fer 'is age I've seen. She turns away. 'Er eyes is brimmin' wet. "Our little son," she says, "our precious pet." An' then I seen a great big drop roll down an' fall, Kerplosh! Fair on 'is nibs crown. An' still she smiles. "A lucky sign," she said. "Somewhere, in some old book, one time I read, The child will sure be blest through all the years Who's christened wiv his mother's happy tears." "Kiss 'im," she says. I was afraid to take Too big a mouthful of 'im, fear 'e'd break. An' when 'e gits a fair look at me phiz, 'E puckers up 'is nose an' then... Gee whiz! 'Ow did 'e 'owl! In 'arf a second more Nurse 'ad me 'ustled clean outside the door. Scarce knowin' 'ow, I gits out in the yard, An' leans agen the fence an' thinks real 'ard. A long, long time I looks at my 2 'ands. They're all I got, I thinks, they're all that stands 'Twixt this 'ard world an' them I calls me own. an' for their sakes I'll work 'em to the bone. Them vows an' things sound like a lot o' guff. Maybe it's foolish thinkin' all this stuff. Maybe it's childish like to scheme an' plan. But, I dunno, it's that way wiv a man. I only know that kid belongs to me. We ain't decided yet wot 'e's to be. Doreen, she says 'e's got a poit's eyes, but I ain't got much use for them soft guys. I think we ought to make 'im somethin' great, a bookie or a champeen 'eavyweight, some callin' that'll give 'im room to spread. A fool could see 'e's got a clever 'ead. I know 'e's good an' honest, for 'is eyes is jist like 'ers, so big an' lovin' wise. They carries peace an' trust where'er they goes. An' say, the nurse she says 'e's got my nose. Dead ring fer all me ole conk, she says it is. More like a blob o' putty on 'is phiz, I think. But 'e's a fair 'ard case, all right. I'll swear I thought 'e wunk at me last night. My wife an' family. Don't it sound all right? That's what I whispers to meself at night. Some day, I s'pose, I'll learn to say it loud an' careless, kiddin' that I don't feel proud. My son! If there's a Gord who's leanin' near to watch our dilly little lives down 'ere, 'e smiles, I guess, if 'e's a lovin' one. Smiles, friendly like, to hear them words, "My son."
End of poem. Songs of a Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Algie Pug.
Poem 14. The Mooch of Life. This evenin' I was sittin' wiv Doreen, peaceful an' 'appy wiv the day's work done, watchin' be'ind the orchard's bonzer green the flamin' wonder of the settin' sun. Another day gone by, another night creepin' along to douse day's golden light. Another dawnin', when the night is gone, to live an' love, an' so life mooches on. Times I'd 'a thought, when things was goin' crook, when 'ope turned nark an' love forgot to smile, of something I once seen in some ole book, where an old sore 'ead asks, "Is life worf while?" But in that stillness, as the day grows dim, an' I am sittin' there wiv 'er an' 'im, my wife, my son, an' strength in me to strive, I only know it's good to be alive. You live, you love, you learn, an' when you come to square the ledger in some thoughtful hour, the everlastin' answer to the sum must allus be, "Where's sense in gittin' sour?" For when you've come to weigh the good an' bad, the gladness wiv the sadness you 'ave 'ad, then 'im whose faith in 'uman goodness fails forgits to put 'is liver in the scales. Livin' an' lovin', learnin' day be day, pausin' a minute in the balmy strife to find that 'elpin' others on the way is gold coined fer your profit. Sich is life. I've studied books with yearnin's to improve, to 'eave meself out of me lowly groove. An' 'ere is all the change I ever got. 'Ark at yer 'eart, an' you can learn the lot. I gives it in, that wisdom o' the mind. I wasn't built to play no lofty part. All such is welcome to the joys they find. I only know the wisdom o' the art. An' ever it 'as taught me, day be day, the one same lesson in the same ole way. Look fer yer profits in the 'earts o' friends, for 'atin' never paid no dividends. Life's wot you make it, an' the bloke 'oo tries to grab the shinin' stars from out the skies goes crook on life, an' calls the world a cheat, an' tramples on the daisies at 'is feet. But when the moon comes creepin' o'er the hill, an' when the mopoke calls along the creek, I takes me cup o' joy, an' drinks me fill, an' asks meself wot better could I seek. An' ev'ry song I 'ear the thrushes sing that everlastin' message seems to bring. An' ev'ry wind that whispers in the trees gives me the tip There ain't no joys like these. Livin' and lovin', wanderin' on yer way, Reapin' the 'arvest of a kind deed done, An' watchin', in the sundown o' yer day, Yerself again, grown nobler in yer son. Knowin' that every coin o' kindness spent Bears interest in yer 'eart at cent per cent, Measurin' wisdom by the peace it brings To simple minds that values simple things. An' when I take a look along the way That I 'ave trod, it seems the man knows best Who's met wiv slabs of sorrer in 'is day, When 'e is truly rich an' truly blest. An' I am rich, because my eyes 'ave seen The love light in the eyes of my Doreen. An' I am blest, because me feet 'ave trod A land whose fields reflect the smile o' God. Livin' an' lovin', learnin' to forgive The deeds an' words of some un'appy bloke Who missed the bus. So 'ave I come to live, An' take the old mad world as 'arf a joke. Sittin' at evenin' in this sunset land, Wiv 'er in all the world to 'old me, an' a son To bear me name when I am gone. Livin' an' lovin', so life mooches on.
End of poem. Glossary of the Songs of a Sentimental Bloke. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Algie Pugg. The Glossary. A. AIF, Australian Imperial Force. Alley, or to toss in the alley, to give up the ghost. Also ran, or the also ran. On the turf, horses that fail to secure a leading place, hence obscure persons, nonentities. Amerlock, or hammerlock, a favourite and effective hold in wrestling. Ah! An exclamation expressing joy, sorrow, surprise, etc., according to the manner of utterance. 'Ard case, or hard case, a shrewd or humorous person. A-seed, or hayseed, a rustic. B. Back chat, impudent repartee. Back and fill, to vacillate, to shuffle. Back the barrer, to intervene without invitation. Barmy, foolish, silly. Beak, a magistrate, possibly from Anglo-Saxon beag, a magistrate. Beano, a feast. Beans, coins, money. Beat, puzzled, defeated. Off the beat, out of the usual routine. Beef, as in to beef it out, to declaim vociferously. Bellers, or bellows, the lungs. Biff, to smite. Bird, as in to give the bird, to treat with derision. Blighter, a worthless fellow. Blimey, an oath with the fangs drawn. Blither, to talk at random, foolishly. Blob, a shapeless mass. Block, the head. To lose or do in the block, to become flustered, excited, angry, to lose confidence. To keep the block, to remain calm, dispassionate. The Block, a fashionable city walk. Bloke, a male adult of the genus Homo. Blubber, or to blub, to weep. Bluff, cunning practice, make believe. Verb, to deceive, to mislead. Bob, a shilling. Bouquets, compliments, flattery. Boko, the nose. Bong tong, patrician, French, bon ton. Bonzer, boshter, bosca, Adjectives expressing the superlative of excellence. Boodle, money, wealth. Book, a bookie. Bookie, a bookmaker. Turf, one who makes a betting book on sporting events. Boot, as in to put in the boot. To kick a prostrate foe. Boss, master, employer. Break, as in to break away, to do a break. To depart in haste. Breast up to accost. Brisket, the chest. Brown, a copper coin. Brums, tawdry finery. From Brummagem, Birmingham. Buckley's or Buckley's chance, a forlorn hope. Buck up, cheer up. Bump, to meet, to accost aggressively. Bun, as in to take the bun, to take the prize, used ironically. Bundle, as in to drop the bundle, to surrender, to give up hope. Bunk, to sleep in a bunk or rough bed. To do a bunk, to depart. Bunnies, as in to hawk the bunnies, to peddle rabbits. Bus, as in to miss the bus, to neglect opportunities. Sea. Caboose, a small dwelling. Carlton, a Melbourne football team. Cat, as in to whip the cat. To cry over spilt milk, that is, to whip the cat that has spilt the milk. C.B. Confined to barracks. Cert, a certainty, a foregone conclusion. Champeen, champion. Chase yourself. Depart, avaunt, fade away. Chat, to address tentatively, to word. Check, as in to pass in one's cheque, to depart this life. Chest, to get it off one's chest. To deliver a speech, express one's feelings. Chew, as in to chew it over, to chew the rag. To sulk, to nurse a grievance. Chiack, vulgar banter, coarse invective. Chin, to talk, to wag the chin. Chip, to chat. Chip in, to intervene. Chiv, the face. Chow, a native of far Cathay. Chuck up, to relinquish. Chuck off, to chaff, to employ sarcasm. Chump, a foolish fellow. Chunk, a lump, a mass. Clean, completely, utterly. Click, a clique, a push. Cliner, a young unmarried female. Clobber, raiment, vesture. Cobber, a boon companion. Collect, to receive one's deserts. Colour line, in pugilism, the line drawn by white boxes excluding coloured fighters, for divers reasons. Conk, the nose. Coot, a person of no account, used contemptuously. Cop, to seize, to secure. Also, an avocation, a job. Cop or copper, a police constable. Copper top, a redhead. Copper show, a copper mine. Count, as in to take the count. In pugilism, to remain prostrate for 10 counted seconds and thus lose the fight. Cove, a chap or bloke. See also gypsy. Cow, a thoroughly unworthy, not to say despicable person, place, thing, or circumstance. A fair cow, an utterly obnoxious and otherwise unexpressible person, place, thing, or circumstance. Crack, to smite someone. Substantive.
a blow. Crack a boo, to divulge a secret, to betray emotion. Crack hardy, to suppress emotion, to endure patiently, to keep a secret. Cray, a crayfish. Crib, a dwelling. Croak, to die. Crook, a dishonest or evil person. Crook, unwell, dishonest, spurious, fraudulent. Superlative, as in dead crook. Cruel, cruel the pitch. To frustrate, to interfere with one's schemes or welfare. Crust, sustenance, a livelihood. Cut it out, omit it, discontinue it. Dago, a native of southern Europe. Dash, as in to do one's dash, to reach one's Waterloo. Date, an appointment. Dog or dog, a contemptible person. Ostentation, to put on dog, to behave in an arrogant manner. Dead, in a superlative degree, very. Deal, to deal it out, to administer punishment, abuse, etc. Denar, a shilling. French, denier, denarius, a Roman silver coin. Derry, an aversion, a feud, a dislike. Dickon, a term signifying disgust or disbelief. Dial, the face. Dilly, foolish, half-witted. Ding-dong, strenuous. Dinkum, honest, true. The dinkum oil, the truth. Dirt, opprobrium, a mean speech or action. Dirty left, a formidable left fist. Divvies, dividends, profits. Dizzy limit, the utmost, the superlative degree. Do in, to defeat, to kill, to spend. Done me luck, lost my good fortune. Dope, a drug, adulterated liquor. Verb, to administer drugs. To dot in the eye, to strike in the eye. Douse, to extinguish. Anglo-Saxon. Drive a quill, to write with a pen, to work in an office. Duck, as in to do a duck. See break. Duds, personal apparel. Scotch. Dunno, do not know. Dutch, German, any native of Central Europe. Eds, or heads, the authorities, inner council. Eddin, as in Eden Browns or Heading Browns, tossing pennies. Ed over turkey, head over heels. Ed Sarang, the chief, the leader. Heavyweight, a boxer of the heaviest class. L for leather, in extreme haste. End up, as in to get end up, to rise to one's feet. Fade away, as in to fade away. To retire, to withdraw. Fag, a cigarette. Fair, extreme, positive. Fair thing, a wise proceeding, an obvious duty. Fake, a swindle, a hoax. Finger, an eccentric or amusing person. Flam, nonsense, make-believe. Flash, ostentatious, showy but counterfeit. To float, to give up the ghost. Fluff, as in a bit of fluff, a young female person. Foot, or me foot, a term expressing ridicule. Footer, football. Frame, the body. Frill, affectation. To funk, to fear, to lose courage. Furphy, an idle rumour, a canard. Galoot, a simpleton. Game, occupation, scheme, design. Gore save, the national anthem. Gazob, a fool, a blunderer. Gee whiz, exclamation expressing surprise. Get, as in to do a get, to retreat hastily. Gilt, money, wealth. Give, as in to give, in one sense, to care. Gizzard, the heart. Glassy, the glassy eye, a glance of cold disdain. The glassy alley, the favourite, the most admired. Glim, a light. Going while the going is good, while the path is clear. Gone, or fair gone. Overcome, as with emotion. Goo-goo eyes, loving glances. Gospel cove, a minister of the gospel. Graft, work. Grafter, one who toils hard or willingly. Griffin, as in the straight griffin. The truth, secret information. Grip, occupation, employment. Groggy, unsteady, dazed. Grouch, to mope, to grumble. Grub, food. Guff, nonsense. Guy, a foolish fellow. To do a guy, to retire. Guyver, make believe. Handies, a fondling of hands between lovers. Hang out, to reside, to last. Hangover, the aftermath of the night before. Hankies, handkerchiefs. Highfalutin, high-sounding, boastful. Hitch, as in to hitch. To wed. Hitched, entangled in the bonds of holy matrimony. Hit things up, to behave strenuously, riotously. Hot, excessive, extreme. The hump, a fit of depression. To hump, to carry as a swag or other burden. Imshi, begone, retreat, take yourself off. Arabic. Intro, introduction, knock down. It, or to be it. To assume a position of supreme importance. Jab, to strike smartly. Jane, a woman. Jiff, a very brief period. To job, to smite. Joes, melancholy thoughts. John, a policeman. Joint, as in to jump the joint. To assume command, to occupy the joint, that is, establishment, situation, place of business. Jolt, as in to pass a jolt. To deliver a short, sharp blow. Jaw, the jaw. Jawb, or job, avocation, employment. Josser, a simple fellow. Jug, a prison. Keekin, peeping. Keeps, as in for keeps. For ever, permanently. Kersplosh, splash. Kid, a child. To kid, to deceive, to persuade by flattery. Kiddies, children. Kid stakes, pretence. Kingpin, the leader, the person of chief importance. Kip, a small chip used for tossing pennies in the occult game of two-up. Kipsy, a house, the home. Knob, the head, one in authority. Knockdown, A ceremony insisted upon by ladies who decline to be picked up. A formal introduction. Knock-out drops. Drugged or impure liquor. Knock-out punch. A knock-down blow. Knot. A fop. A well-dressed idler. Lark. A practical joke. A sportive jest. Lash. Violence. Leading. Leaden. Leery. Vulgar. Low. Leeuwin. Cape Leeuwin on the southwest coast of Australia. Lid. The hat. To dip the lid. To raise the hat. Limit. The end. The full length. Line up. To approach. To accost. Lingo. Language. Lip. Impertinence. To give it lip. To talk vociferously. Little Bourke. Little Bourke Street, Melbourne, Australia. Little Lon. Little Lonsdale Street, Melbourne, Australia. To lob. To arrive. Loo. Woolloomooloo, a part of Sydney. Lummy. Love me. Lurk. A plan of action. A regular occupation. Mafiche. Finish. I am finished. Arabic, there is no. Mag. To scold or talk noisily. Mallee. A species of eucalypt. The country where the mallee grows. Mash. To woo, to pay court, as in a lover. Maul. To lay hands upon, either violently or with affection. A meet. An assignation. Mill. A bout of fisticuffs. Mix, or to mix it. To fight strenuously. Mizzle. To disappear. To depart suddenly. Mo. An abbreviation of moment. Moll. A woman of loose character. Moniker. A name, a title, a signature. Mooch. To saunter about aimlessly. Moon. To loiter. Mud. As in, my name is Mud. That is, I am utterly discredited. Mug. A fool. Also, the mouth. To mug. To kiss. Mullock. As in, to poke mullock. To deride. To tease. Mushy. Sentimental. Nark. A spoil sport. A churlish fellow. To nark. To annoy. To foil. Narked. Angered. Foiled. Natural. Natural. Neck. As in to get it in the neck. To receive severe punishment. That is, where the chicken got the axe. Nerve. Confidence. Impudence. Nick. Physical condition. Good health. Nipper. A small boy. To nose around. To seek out inquisitively. Nothing. Ironically. Literally, something considerable. Odds. As in, above the odds. Beyond the average. Outside the pale. Epizootics. An undiagnosed complaint. Orfice. Office. A warning. A word of advice. A hint. Oracle. As in, to work the oracle. To secure desired results. All. As in, all in. Without limit or restriction. 'Ot socks. Gaily coloured hose. To out. To render unconscious with a blow. All out. Quite exhausted. Fully extended. Pack. As in, to send to the pack. To relegate to obscurity. Pal. A friend, a mate. Gypsy. Pard. A partner, a mate. Pass. As in, pass him one. To deliver a blow. Pat Malone, as in on one's Pat Malone. Alone, single-handed. Peach, a desirable young woman, fresh as a peach. Peb, or pebble, a flash fellow, a larrikin. Fizz, the face. Pick at, to chaff, to annoy. To pick up, to dispense with the ceremony of a knock-down or introduction. Pile it on, to rant, to exaggerate. Pilot cove, a clergyman. Pinch, to steal, to place under arrest. Pip, a fit of depression. Pitch a tale, to trump up an excuse, to weave a romance. Plant, to bury. Plug, to smite with the fist. To plug along, to proceed doggedly. Plunk, an exclamation expressing the impact of a blow. To point, to seize unfair advantage. To scheme. Podgy, fat, plump. Point, the region of the jaw, much sought after by pugilists. Pot, as in the old pot. The male parent, from rhyming slang, the old pot and pan, the old man. A pot, a considerable amount, as a pot of money. Pole, as in up the pole, distraught through anger, fear, etc. Also disappeared, vanished. Prad, a horse. Pug, a pugilist. Pull, as in to take a pull. To desist, to discontinue. Punch a cow, to conduct a team of oxen. Punter, the natural prey of a bookie. Push, a company of rowdy fellows gathered together for ungentle purposes. Cue, queer the pitch, to frustrate, to fool. Quid, a sovereign, or pound sterling. Quad, prison. Rabbit, as in to run the rabbit. To convey liquor from a public house. Rag, as in to chew the rag. To grieve, to brood. Rag, as in to sky the rag. To throw a towel into the air in token of surrender. Pugilism. Rain, as in to keep out of the rain. To avoid danger, to act with caution. Rat, a street urchin, a wharf loafer. Rattled, excited, confused. Red lot, extreme, out and out. Registry, the office of a registrar. Rebuck, correct, genuine, an interjection signifying assent. Rile, to annoy. Riled, roused to anger. The ring, the arena of a prize fight. The dead ring, a remarkable likeness. A rise, an accession of fortune, an improvement. Rocks, a locality in Sydney. Rorty, boisterous, rowdy. Roust or rouse, to upbraid with many words. Roy, Fitzroy, a suburb of Melbourne, its football team. Run against, to meet more or less unexpectedly. Saints, a football team of St Kilda, Victoria. Sandy Blight, ophthalmia. Savvy, common sense, shrewdness. School, a club, a clique of gamblers or others. Scran, food. Scrap, fight. To set, to attack, to regard with disfavour. To have set, to have marked down for punishment or revenge. Shick, shickered, intoxicated. Shicker, intoxicating liquor. Shinty, a game resembling hockey. Shook, stolen, disturbed. Shook on, infatuated. Shine or shine, excellent, desirable. Sight, to tolerate, to permit, also to see, observe. Sir Garnio. In perfect order, satisfactory. Skirt, or a bit of skirt. A female. Skite, to boast. Skiter, a boaster. Sky the wipe. See rag. Slab, a portion. A tall, awkward fellow. Slanter, spurious, unfair. Slap up, admirable, excellent. Slats, the ribs. Slaver, one engaged in the white slave traffic. Slick, smart, deft, quick. To slope, to elope, to leave in haste. Sloppy, lachrymose, maudlin. Slushy, a toiler in a scullery. Smooge, to flatter or fawn, to bill and coo. Smooger, a sycophant, a courtier. Snag, a hindrance, formidable opponent. Snake-headed, annoyed, vindictive. Snake juice, strong drink. Snare, to acquire, to seize, to win. Snide, inferior, of no account. Snob, a bootmaker. Snout, to bear a grudge. Snouted, treated with disfavour. Snuff, or snuff it, to expire. Sock it into, to administer physical punishment. Solid, severe, severely. So long, a form of farewell. Sool, to attack, to urge on. Leaden soot, a chief attribute. Sore, as in to get sore. To become aggrieved. Sorehead, a curmudgeon. Sour, as in to turn sour or get sour. To become pessimistic or discontented. Spank, to chastise maternal wise. Spar, a gentle bout of fisticuffs. Spare me days, a pious ejaculation. Specs, spectacles. Splash, to expend. Splice, to join in holy matrimony. Spout, to preach or speak at length. Sprag, to accost truculently. Spruik, to deliver a speech, as a showman. Square, upright, honest. Square and all, of a truth, verily. Squiz, a brief glance. Stand off, retiring, reticent. Stagem, stadium, where prize fights are conducted. Stiffened, bought over. Stiffen, a corpse. Stoke, to nourish, to eat. Stop a pot, to quaff ale. Stoush, to punch with the fist. Violence. Straight, as in on the straight, in fair and honest fashion. Stranglehold, an ungentle embrace in wrestling. Strength of it, the truth of it, the value of it. Stretch, as in to do a stretch, to serve a term of imprisonment. Strike, the innocuous remnant of a hardy curse. Strike, to discover, to meet. Strong, as in going strong, proceeding with vigour. Struth, an emaciated oath. Stuff, money. Stunt, a performance, a tale. Swad, or swaddy, a private soldier. Swank, affectation, ostentation. Swap, to exchange. Swell, an exalted person. Swig, a draught of water or other liquid. Tea, tabby, a female. Take 'em on, engage them in battle. Take it out, to undergo imprisonment in lieu of a fine. Tart, a young woman, contraction of sweetheart. Tenner, a £10 note. Time, as in to do time. To serve a term in prison. Time, as in to have no time for. To regard with impatient disfavour. Tip, to forecast, to give, to warn. Tip, a warning, a prognostication, a hint. Tipple, strong drink, to indulge in strong drink. Toff, an exalted person. Togs, clothes. Togged, garbed. Tom, a girl. Tony, stylish. Took, arrested, apprehended. Top, as in off one's top, out of one's mind. To top off, to knock down, to assault. Toss in the towel. See rag. Touch, manner, mode, fashion. Tough, unfortunate, hardy, also a tug. Tough luck, misfortune. Track with, to woo, to go walking with. A treat, excessively, abundantly. Tucked away, interred. Tug, an uncouth fellow, a hardy rogue. To tumble or to take a tumble, to comprehend suddenly. Turkey, as in head over turkey, head over heels. Turn down, to reject, dismiss. Turn, as in out of one's turn, impertinently, uninvited. Twig, to observe, to espy. Two-up school, a gambling den. Umpty, an indefinite numeral. Uppercut, in pugilism an upward blow. Uppish, proud. Up to us, our turn, our duty. Vag, as in on the vag, under the provisions of the Vagrancy Act. Wallop, to beat, chastise. Waster, a reprobate, an utterly useless and unworthy person. Waterworks, as in to turn on the waterworks, to shed tears. Welt, a blow. Wet, as in to get wet, to become incensed, ill-tempered. Whips, abundance. White or white man, a true sterling fellow. White-headed boy, a favourite, a pet. Willin', strenuous, hearty. A win, success. Wise, as in to get wise. To comprehend, to unmask deceit. Wolf, to eat. Word, to accost with fair speech. What price? Behold, how now? Yakker, hard toil. Yap, to talk volubly. Yowling, wailing, caterwauling.
End of the glossary.
End of the songs of a sentimental bloke. Read by Algie Pugg.